Hi guys, I'm Jamie, and I've got my husband and business partner Chris in the back to back me up. We started a company called My Site, which does done for you work, and then we started a second company called Keep It Simple Strategies, which is all coaching. So most of what you'll see from me is Keep It Simple Strategies, and I'm going to apologize. I'm unfortunately dealing with a little health issue right now, so my voice goes in and out, but I'm going to keep it as strong as I can for you. So if you can't hear something, just raise your hand or say, can you say that again? See if I can get this on for today. Cool. So first of all, let me find out how many of you have your own business. I assume all. Yeah, cool. Okay. And are you solopreneurs? Do you have teams?
This is my team.
This is our team. Good.
Not all of my team, but part of my team.
Good, good. And others? Solopreneurs?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I tend not to.
Cool. Perfect. So part of the challenge as we start businesses, what Chris and I have found over the years is so many people have a great job. They're doing cool stuff. They realize that the company is billing $300 an hour for the work they do. And they're like, you know what? I can do this on my own. And they go out and they start their own company. What they fail to think about is all of the support that they had where they were. So before that customer got to them, who did the marketing, who did the prospect, who does the accounting, the billing, who takes the trash out, right? All of these different things. And all of a sudden, that 4-hour work week that Tim Ferriss told us about has turned into a 4-hour sleep week as we're working 40 hours for our regular genius that we're the thing that we're genius at, but we're doing all the busy work for the rest of it. So what if I told you that if we looked at what the journey and the customer first identified who you were to when they became a regular customer and a referring incredible zealot fan, that there's a process to get them from one to the other. And what if we can take a lot of that process and automate it? Have things that are keeping you busy to turned into things that just happen magically, as a friend of mine says, right? And creates a consistent experience for your customers every time. Would that be something of interest? Isn't that the nirvana that can send us back to the 4-hour work week? The first slide I have says, the customer journey starts with me. And many people look at that and say, well, what do you mean? The customer journey, they're going to go on their own journey. But you, as the architect, are the one who's going to identify where you want them to go, right? When road planners create highway systems, as long as it's not Houston, or that was it Dallas?
Yeah, that's off of those road systems.
When Dallas has terrible roads. But when they design that system, there's certain points where you can get on or off. You have the choice of where you're going. Do you want exit 5 or do you want exit 15? We're going to design that journey for them. Ah, wonderful. Thank you. So in the process, we have to identify several different pieces. Now, it's summer. Many of you took a trip Lisa did, right? When you take a journey, you have to do several different things to create that journey, right? So we first map out where we're going to be. And the first time I gave this presentation was in a speaking event in London. And I started in London, I went to northern France, and then over through Belgium to the Netherlands. I gave it again in Amsterdam. So I planned out what my journey was going to be like. We're going to do the same thing for the customer journey. Second part was I had to plan the systems, the pieces. What was I going to take? What was I going to pack with this journey? What was I going to put in the suitcase so I had the tools with me? So we're going to identify what those tools and systems are. And finally, that was literally my suitcase that I took to Europe with me, right? Once we identify everything, then we automate and refine the process. So that's what we're going to go through. So who am I and why am I so passionate about creating these journeys? I am a wife, a mom. My kids are all growing up. One of them just got married, which is kind of fun. Several pets. I've been in Forbes magazine. I've spoken all around the world. Chris and I work with a gentleman some of you may have heard of named Michael E. Gerber. He wrote the E-Myth. Michael's been a client of ours. Chris does most of Michael's writing these days. But this is an acknowledgement. Fun story. I was flying to California to do an event with him, and he sent me his manuscript to read on the plane. And I said, Chris does editing, not me. He's the copywriter. I'm the one that unslapped on the hands because I couldn't spell right. So Michael says, read it and bring it here. Used a few explicitives. If you talk to Michael, there's a few extra flowery language. And anyway, I get there and I said, okay, I found a comma missing here and something, whatever. He said, did you read the acknowledgement? I said, who reads the acknowledgements? I said, read the effing acknowledgement. Little did I know. Had I read that, that was the reason he gave it to me, so I would see it. So anyway, I've been acknowledged in one of Michael's books. But I've been an entrepreneur forever. Jen and I have known each other. We worked for the same company years ago.
20 years?
20 years.
We've known each other at least 20 years.
Yeah, the boys who just got, the twins, one of them just got married. They were in strollers when Jen and I met. So, and have done all kinds of things over the years. Now, when we started a company in Hilton, we literally designed the systems and wrote the book on, created a franchise with it. So I literally wrote the book on how the franchise systems were going to work. What we didn't know at the time, and how many of you have things in place? How many of you have taken a vacation? How many of you felt comfortable, or when you got back, you had all kinds of crap to catch up on, and you said it's not worth taking the vacation? You checked email every go on vacation, just in case. Exactly, right? Well,
I took a sat phone on vacation.
Holy cow, you're a committed lady.
Yes.
Right?
My husband was very upset. Like, you're on vacation. Yeah, whatever.
So my goal today is to teach you how to not take the sat phone next time and have boundaries that let you build your business around your life, not your life around your business. Right? Too many of us have done the life around the business. And if you can't feel comfortable taking time to take vacation. What's going to happen when something like this happens? Here we had a flourishing company. Everything was great. I go to the doctor and he tells me I have a massive brain tumor and I have 6 months to live. Right? Was I worried about the systems in the business and was I able to focus on my business at that time? No, I had to step out, right? I had to not worry. I had to hope that the pieces were in place that the business could keep going. I couldn't take the sat phone to the operating room. I couldn't deal with it because I had to deal with what it is. The good news is, I calculated recently, I've outlived those 6 months 30 times.
Wow.
Right? So that's the good news. The bad news is the business and my part in business didn't survive the 6 months that it took for me to get healthy. So we want to make sure that you're building a business that you can keep running when other things happen. Now, that was 2007. 2021, I had systems in place. And systems can be automation, it can be team member, it can be SOPs, it can be all kinds of pieces of parts. The good news is this one, I had a dog bite that broke this hand and ended up with a bacterial infection. Landed my butt in the hospital for a week and 6 months of recovery. 6 months later, bought a brand new, beautiful sports car, and somebody decided to pull out in front of me. And I swerved to miss her, hit the curb because of the low clearance. Airbag went off, shattered my right wrist. So I have some amazing titanium in that wrist, which has sparked the challenges I'm having today. But my business, even though me as the founder and the person who's the coach and the teacher and the primary deliverer of the product, the business kept running. Not only did it keep running, it was our best year to date at that point because we had the right systems in place. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first thing I want you guys to think about and actually write down. You go to coachjamieg.com/tracker. I have what we call an activity tracker. And I want you to start thinking about what it is you do all day long. How many of you at the end of the day go, holy crap, I was busy, but I don't know what I actually did today, right? Or what I accomplished. The tracker is the first thing when I'm working with a client. I have everyone on the team fill this out. So set your clock or your timer on your phone, go off every 15 minutes, and jot down what you did for those 15 minutes. Sent XYZ email, delivered whatever. If you're on a phone call with the client, you can wait and do it at the end of the hour or whatever it is. But track what it is you're doing. And I had you do that for 2 weeks. Why do you think I had you do that?
You can automate it as much as possible.
Exactly. There's all kinds of things that you're going to identify that can be automated or can be delegated and that you didn't realize was taking up all your time. You realize sending emails out, taking 25% of your time. I have people get 4 to 8 hours a week back because now they've made that busy work something that they don't have to handle anymore. Okay, so how many of you also, when I first started hiring, and I was new to hiring people for my own business, it was different when it was a corporate situation, but for my own, I don't know about you guys, but the mother instinct kicked in and I'm like, I like this person. I can train them. I can teach. I can fix them, right? How many of us have gone down that path? And when it comes to training, we can say, can you do this? And they're like, I don't know how. And then you're like, you know, it's going to take me 3 minutes to do it, or it'll take me an hour to train them. I'll just do it myself, right? How many times has that happened? Well, that I'll do it myself for 3 minutes. In that one case, yes, was a time saver. But the 25 times you do it a week is not a time saver. Use Loom is the greatest tool ever, right? Now you do it once and then you hand it to them and say, here's what you need to do. So it only took me 3 minutes and you get to train from the video that I just did doing it, right? So when you track this, you're going to find the different things that you're doing. So most of my clients are dealing with right? Client management, Facebook, lead gen, website, taxes. Notice these little things here: school events, travel, family, hobbies, soccer games. They are all little because you're so busy with other stuff. When we build the right systems and automate it, we can take 70% of that busy work and turn it around. So that now, family, we built our business around our life, not our life around our business. So how you use those 86,000 seconds, 86,400 seconds that we have every day makes a huge difference in the quality of your life and the resiliency of your business. So let's go. Whoops. There we go. So first step is mapping out the journey. Now, remember I said the first piece is you creating the road system, creating the programs. So what is it that you want your customers to do? So for instance, if we look at Creative Post, we have multiple membership options that people can join. So the goal at the end is to get them into a program, into a membership. So what kinds of things can we do to create that? Well, we can have workshops, so we invite people, right? So the workshop is part of the journey. How do we get them to the workshop? We have ways of Facebook, social media, different invite pieces, right? So each one of those, we start to map. This is what the journey we want them to do. We want them to identify and find us. We want them to come to a workshop. We want them to join as a member. And then we want them to refer and invite others. Okay, that's the basic journey that we're starting with. Does that make sense? Do each of you have a feel for what your basic journey? Now, the journey also, for those of you that are into understanding how we market and how we communicate, you're going to have different journeys for different avatars, right? Some may come one way, some may come another way. Again, it's like the GPS, like that road system. We started in Statesboro today. We had 3 or 4 different roads we could come all to get to the same place. So first step you're going to do is to identify what you want the journey to look like. Okay, clear? Now, this is, the funnel is what most people talk about. I prefer the latter because I don't want to be squeezed through a funnel, right? That visual just has never worked for me. So here we go. We prospect sees an ad, they read a blog, They opt in, they make a small purchase, they get value from, and then we start to upsell them or up level them to different pieces. They become a successful customer, give us a testimonial, and they start to tell people about it. And you're welcome to take pictures if you want, or let me know, and I can get the slide deck to you if you want. Cool. All right, so that's the journey. How many of you are thinking my business is different? Somebody is.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Why is yours different?
Just because, I mean, there's still the freebie that we get people in with, but, you know, we want them to subscribe to our Instagram. And, you know, like our
I'm sorry, are you providing a product or a service?
Yes. Yes.
Are you accepting payment for that?
Yes.
Your business is no different.
No different?
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct. So remember I said we have different starting points and different ending points, but there's a journey.
Yeah.
That you're unknown, you become known, they become a client, they become a raving fan, they become a referrer. So regardless of what your product, service, or process is, everybody starts as unknown and hopefully ends as a referring amazing client. So if Chris and I had a nickel for everyone that told us on calls, but what's different? It doesn't work that way.
You would never see it.
So, all right. So now we know the basic journey we want to send them on. The next step is detailing the system, detailing the step-by-step. And here is an example of one I did with a client of ours who's a insurance agent. Now, once, excuse me, my voice. I'm gonna pass some of these for you guys to use. Once we know what the journey looks like, the next step is detailing every step along the way. And the way I like to recommend is, how many of you have had an amazing client that you, I don't know, no, I'm doing it. Think about your list of clients. One client stands out, and every time you see or speak or talk to this client, you wish you had 500 of them, right? They spend money, they listen to what you tell them to do, they actually do what you tell them to do. Those of you that are coaches, right? Nothing more frustrating than saying, here's the step-by-step, do this, and they come back and say, yeah, I didn't have time for that, but your system doesn't work. It works when you do it, right? So if you can identify that person, let's call her Susie. So who is your Susie? Everybody have an idea? Who's Susie? Who's the best? Jen, who's your favorite? Well, that's probably not a fair
That would not be
question.
fair in this room. Would express who my favorite client is.
Your multiple favorite clients, all right?
No, go ahead and pick one that's not here, and that'll make everybody jealous, and they'll keep on.
Exactly.
If they're not here, they're not her favorite.
That's right. All right. So once you pick Susie out, then I want you to list on Post-its where
I'll give you
Susie.
an example, not from Creative Coast, from Startup Chicks.
Sure.
So my other organization, Startup Chicks, which is for female founders. My ideal client, I've learned over the years, been doing it since 2008. The person that I really want to serve is a female founder of a technology-related business that plans on seeking capital and has probably never done that before.
Excellent. Now, out of the startup chicks that you have, name me one person that fits that avatar.
Noelle.
Okay, so Noelle. So what I want you to do, so Noelle is our name we're using now instead of Susan. So first post it is, where did Noelle find you? Right? And you can call Noelle, call your person.
I know exactly where she
If
came
you
to one of my events.
Good.
She came to an event like this that was not a lunchtime topic, but an evening discussion where we had appetizers and wine.
Cool. And how did she hear about that event? So that was the second thing. She showed up. First thing, where did she find it?
It would have been on one of our partners that marketed it, right? So the marketing strategy there is like, we plan events, we have our own newsletter and stuff like that to share the events. We have our own website to share the events, but she probably heard about it from, she's in Atlanta, she probably heard about it from the startupatlanta.com website or calendar,
Cool.
not our calendar. She didn't know it existed yet.
All right. So we have a post-it for where she found us. We have a post-it for what the first event was. Then we have, and I'm just going to kind of jump ahead and pretend I know the journey. Then we have the first conversation with Jen, and we have how that conversation went. What were the key points we talked about on that call? Then what was, did she buy right away? Did it take 3 or 4 follow-ups or 5 or 8 follow-ups? What were the follow-ups? What did they look like? What were the actual emails that were sent? So I want a post-it for each one of these points along. Notice I have request for quote, prospect is created. We do fact finding, then the quote is calculated. So I want you to go deep. Now this is slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. This was all part of this particular client's journey. Now, I like to do it on Post-its and stick them up on the wall. I've also done it with index cards, and I love the index cards. I use index cards for journeys as well as for course creation, because I can take them with me, and if I go out for a walk in the woods, I go for a walk on the beach. Seems to be the best creative brainstorming time for me, and I'll throw them down on the ground, put them in order, and say, what if I switch this order? What if this happened before this? How about this for this, right? And then I take a picture of the order I have them in, pick them all up, and go back to the next time I do it. So your customer journey is going to be all on Post-it notes. Now, that was Noelle's journey. Now, how many of you have a client that when the phone rings, you cringe? You look at it and go, oh, God, I really don't want to take this call. And fire them. Fire them, right? It's the greatest feeling in the world when you are at a point in your business that you can fire them. So highly recommend firing them. However, before you do that, or after you do that, I recommend you do this same process. So the process we just did for Noelle, Lisa, who's your guy you fired?
Actually, I think there's a retainer client of 5 years.
Wow. What's the name?
I don't want to use his name, but
Oh, that's fine. We'll call him George. All right. So nobody named George, right? Okay. So George is our client that we don't want. Now, here's the last happy. This was Noelle. We want to also do the same thing for George. Where did George find us? What was his process? Who spoke to us? How did that go? Where essentially we're doing exactly the same thing, different colored set of Post-its, so we know which is George and which is Noelle. And then we put the Post-its side by side, getting real technical here, right? We put them side by side and we figure out where George went off the rails. What was the point in the customer experience that drove him to have the wrong expectations, to not see the warning sign, to not pick up. So you're going to do this with both. And from that, we want to identify where those inconsistencies are. Does this make sense?
Can you put it back on that last slide?
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people have told you to map out your good customer. You've probably heard that before. Not many tell you to map out your bad customer.
The question is this everything that you have control over, or are you documenting what you have control over, what you don't have control over?
I would document both, because things you don't have control over, you have to either have a solution to overcome or know that's something that you need to address up front. When you're talking to a prospect, I have people say all the time, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. Doesn't matter whether you want to be or not. That conversation is creating a relationship. And relationships, whether they're business relationships or personal, have to have acceptable and non-acceptable code, right? There's certain things in your personal life that you don't or shouldn't think are acceptable. Well, guess what? Just because a guy is going to hand you some money, or gal, doesn't mean that those acceptable or not acceptables go away. So this process helps you to identify that up front so that you can say, you know what, Mr. George, I think you're a great guy. I just don't think I'm the right fit for you. So I'm going to pass you off to Susie, who is my competitor. Not having those unhappy customers, again, puts you back in control of what's going on versus feeling like you're on, what's that whirly ride? Built a whirl. Yeah. So teacups. That's right. Cool. All right. So does that make sense on mapping out? Any ahas there? Yep. Good. All right. So we've been real technical up until now. Post-its. Now we actually are going to get a little technical. How many of you have a CRM? I have used Pipedrive. I've used all of them. The one I recommend is a program called Keap, which the reason, and it doesn't matter which one you use, but you want the ability to create step by step. You want to be able to take the post-its that we created and create a step or a process in your CRM that does that. So, for instance, this is something that I did for a client who did multiple events 3-4 days in a row and drove them to a 3-day. They sold them into the first were what we called preview events, 1-hour events. They came to that for free. They sold them into a 3-day event, which was 300, 400. And then from the 3-day event, they sold them into a $50,000 coaching program. So what we had to do was say, when somebody comes to the website, if they choose event 1, we're going to apply a tag. And then we're going to set up the details, because event 1 is May 14th at 1 o'clock. Event 2 is May 14th at 7, whatever. Inside this box, I have a series of emails and pieces that I want to send to them. There can be tasks that we want to follow up on. It can be something that's, at this point, we need to make a phone call, talk to them on the phone. So we want to build that process. And in this case, after we talk to them about the live event, then we send confirmations When they register, there's certain things that happen. So each step of the way, we're going to create step by step. Here's another one that goes a little deep. Notice we have a delay, and then we apply certain tags. We have certain email. So all of the pieces, we can take the journey that we just created in the Post-its and literally have a step and a process that's being handled by the system, or the system is telling me, hey, Jamie, it's time to call Jen, because it's been 3 weeks since the first call. Does that make sense? So regardless of which program you use, having the ability to map this out. So this, if we look at this particular one was a course, and we were giving them a week for each course. So the tag opened up module 5.
That came up first.
Thank you. Module 5, and then I want to send them a bunch of emails. That will be fun. And then follow through from that. So step by step, we map out each of the pieces. And I'd be happy to go through your particular steps with you and show you how we do that in the software I prefer to work with, and look at whether your software allows you to do that. So I'll give you a link here. You guys can book it. I normally do 15, but I'll do a half-hour session because I love Jen's people. So I'll give you guys a half-hour session to go through and work through that. Does that make sense? Going from
So right now we have a half hour.
you can book a
Oh, we
private
can book it, a
one-on-one.
private one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that way we can go deep in. But the way I would answer that is, as a new startup, either you've done this for someone else previously, so you can use your experience from corporate America and replicate that process and tweak it to fit better for you. Or if you have no experience, you're brand new at this, you literally just landed on the earth and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. What would what has your experience with others been that you want to replicate? When I bought from so-and-so, I loved the way this process went. So use your experience, go out and shop your competitors. Have somebody else shop your competitors. See what their experience looks like. See how you want to improve it, increase it. Now, from a straight content perspective, when somebody has contacted you on day 1, I like a follow-up letter to go out right after. As a matter of fact, one of the things with Grant Cardone, I'm a 10X business coach also. Grant wants you to have 5 follow-ups, including a text while you're literally talking to the person. So if you're on the phone talking, you're already texting something to them in the process. So I'm a firm believer in you can't follow up too much. The person will tell you when if they're interested in what you're doing, they want to hear it. Now, follow up is an art. If you just say, why didn't you buy? Why didn't you buy? Why didn't you buy? Why didn't you buy? That's not follow up. That's harassment. Right? So follow up, I like to be, have you thought about this aspect? What about this piece? A client of mine uses this and has been really successful. So educating them through the process on features, functions, capabilities, different aspects. So the more education you're giving, the better. And at the bottom, you can have, if you're ready to chat, book a call. We do that in a lot of our emails. If you want to talk about this topic, here's the calendar, book a call. So anything like that. Does that answer
Yeah, I'm getting all Grant's messages right now. It's kind of driving me crazy.
Yeah,
I don't even know how I got opted into that list.
it wasn't, no, it wasn't me.
No, it's interesting, but I mean, it's long. Some of a lot of messages.
He sends. He,
And then he knows where I live. At least the city,
yeah,
because he's trying to encourage me to do real estate
Real estate,
investing
yeah.
in that location,
yeah,
which is near impossible in that location, by the way, right now,
He's
right?
pushing
Think about
that
what's
way
going on
now.
around here.
oh yeah,
Real estate is really difficult in this town right now, so like, why would I want to get into real estate investing in this town right now? We're the top of the market.
no, no, I agree.
And if you saw there's tremendous opportunities though. And anything else.
Yeah,
I would say it's a little overkill, but yeah.
it's a lot over.
And that's why I went with what's the cadence, because, you know, I think there's a lot of people that don't necessarily do it enough.
And I think that's your point,
And
yeah.
there's-
My experience. And I think what we tend to, we put our own filter on these things, which is also to our detriment, because we say, I don't wanna get this many emails, so I shouldn't send that many emails or have that many points of contact. But then, you know, the experts that I follow, I don't really follow Grant, but other experts. So the point is, that you have to figure out the cadence that works for you. You always have to do more than you think you have to do.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like 3 times a week or at least once a week. Yeah, once a month is not enough. Yeah, so you,
Yeah, once a week minimum.
yeah, so you really need. to-
And that's after you've done the initial follow-up, you wanna keep it at least once a day.
Yeah.
And then once they haven't done anything for 2 or 3 weeks, then you can drop it back to once a week and go from there. It depends on your avatar also. It is a lot of content. That's where AI comes in. Or copyright is like. Right? So, but the content doesn't have to be long form. No. Content can be 3 sentences. It can be hey, I was thinking about you. How can I help you move forward? That's follow up. Yeah. Now, the avatar, a lot of us, when we start thinking about our initial avatar, it's because we were that person. So we are a lot of times our initial avatar. We had a problem, we solved it, and we're going to teach other people how to do it. So in that case, look at what you think works for you, and then bump it up a little bit because we always underestimate where we're going. All right, so now when we follow through and do this process, and it's not necessarily easy, takes a little bit of work, but once you get the work in, it's not set it and forget it because you're going to tweak it, but you're going to save so much time on the back end from the time you put in on the front end. So we have more time, more sales, more consistency, and more balance, right? We're able to handle those things.
A little Libra heart is so happy.
Yeah,
I like balance.
good. So that's, like I said, when I started as an entrepreneur, when my kids were little, they used to always tease me, Mom, you could be in the middle of yelling at us about something, the phone would ring and you'd say, hi, this is Jamie, right? That phone voice came in. And I was at a point in my business that the phone ringing was more important than the child I was talking to. And I'm embarrassed and ashamed to say that today, because now I teach people how to create the system so that the child is the more important, or that whatever that life situation is more important when you have the right systems and boundaries in place for your business. So that's what I want for everyone. So if you're interested in learning the software, I have what we call a play date, which is a 4-hour course that I teach that helps to create and set up the systems to be able to build all of this. Normally, we charge $500 for that. Chris and I do it together, so you get some coaching, some content, and the system set up, so we'll throw that in. Keap has offered me a special for you guys, so I'm happy to put that together. And meet with Jamie G. Go ahead and select the 30-minute session. There's a 15, a 30, and an hour. But you guys can go ahead and select the 30-minute session. So I got you down. You have just a couple minutes left. What questions do you guys have? I wish you the best on your journey, and I really want you to figure out how to build your business around your life using this kind of process, not be stuck with your life around your business. Thank you all.
Thank you.